Welcome back, friends. I'm so glad to have you with us again on this incredible journey of exploration and insight. Today, we are diving into a fascinating and profound question that many people have asked. Why is there such a huge difference between the realms of Bodhisattvas and Arhats? And, perhaps more importantly, what are the core differences between Mahayana and Hinayana practices in Buddhism? If you've ever wondered about the different paths in Buddhism, the distinctions between these two traditions, and how they guide practitioners toward enlightenment, you're in the right place. By the end of this video, you'll not only have a clearer understanding of these paths, but you'll also gain insight into the profound spiritual wisdom that can guide your own journey, no matter where you are. So let's begin. We'll start by exploring the concept of Bodhisattvas and Arhats, two key figures in Buddhist teachings. These terms are often mentioned, but the differences between them might not be as clear-cut as you think. First, let's talk about Arhats. The term Arhat comes from the Pali word Arahant, which means a worthy one. In the Theravada tradition of Buddhism, often associated with what we call Hinayana, Arhats are those who have reached nirvana through their own individual efforts. They have overcome all defilements, transcended suffering, and achieved liberation from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth samsara. Arhats are revered for their deep wisdom and compassion. They are seen as individuals who, after intense personal cultivation, have freed themselves from suffering. But crucially, they do this for their own liberation. And now, let's turn to Bodhisattvas. The Bodhisattva path is central to Mahayana Buddhism, the more expansive, great vehicle tradition. Bodhisattvas are beings who have reached a high level of spiritual development, but have chosen not to enter nirvana. Instead, they vow to remain in the cycle of samsara to help all sentient beings achieve enlightenment. The key difference here is that while Arhats focus on their own liberation, Bodhisattvas focus on the liberation of all beings, making a vow to help others before achieving their own final enlightenment. This different self-liberation versus the vow to help others is the cornerstone of the distinction between Mahayana and Hinayana. And this, my friends, is a truly beautiful and profound difference. It shows how, in the Mahayana path, the Bodhisattva ideal is not only about transcending personal suffering, but about creating a path of compassion and wisdom for all beings. Let's dive a bit deeper into the Bodhisattva vow. A Bodhisattva doesn't just seek personal peace and liberation, they actively engage in the world, offering love, compassion, and wisdom to all beings. They practice what is called Bodhifesta, which means that mind of enlightenment. Bodhisattva is the intention to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is an extraordinary and selfless path that emphasizes compassion as the driving force behind spiritual progress. This brings us to a key question. What does this distinction mean for us as practitioners in the modern world? How can we relate to the ideals of Arhats and Bodhisattvas in our own lives? The answer is both simple and profound. Whether we follow the path of the Arhat or the Bodhisattva, the underlying practice is the same. It is the cultivation of wisdom, the cultivation of compassion, and the overcoming of self-centeredness. The ultimate goal is to transcend the ego's grasp, to see through the illusion of separateness, and to awaken to the interconnectedness of all beings. If we practice the Arhat path, we may focus more on personal meditation, mindfulness, and the removal of delusions that cause suffering. If we follow the Bodhisattva path, we emphasize the cultivation of compassion and the wish to benefit others, not just ourselves. However, the key here is that both paths are deeply interconnected. As you journey down one path, you inevitably begin to see the importance of the other. The more you cultivate wisdom, the more you will naturally develop compassion. The more you develop compassion, the more you will deepen your wisdom. Both are necessary for spiritual awakening. What's also fascinating is that the path of the Bodhisattva is not one of constant effort and self-sacrifice without reward. On the contrary, the Bodhisattva experiences immense joy and peace by focusing on the welfare of others. It's a path of fulfillment, not of sacrifice. The joy that comes from seeing others benefit from your wisdom and compassion is the true reward. It's the ultimate expression of interconnectedness. To bring this idea home, let's think about a modern example. Have you ever experienced a time when you helped someone, and in doing so, felt a deep sense of peace or happiness yourself? Perhaps you've volunteered your time, or maybe you gave a listening ear to a friend who needed it. In that moment, didn't you feel as though you had transcended your own self-interest? Did you feel as though your own heart had opened in a way that wasn't possible when you were solely focused on your own needs and desires? This is what the Bodhisattva path teaches us. By turning our attention outward, by practicing love and compassion for others, we ultimately experience a deep, profound peace that transcends the ego's need for validation or recognition. It's the kind of peace that comes from understanding the interdependence of all beings. And now, you might be wondering, how does this all connect to our day-to-day lives in the modern world? Well, here's where it gets interesting. In our busy, fast-paced lives, it can often feel like the world is moving too quickly. We get caught up in the pressure to succeed, to achieve, to prove ourselves. But the teachings of the Bodhisattva remind us that the true success lies not in accumulating material wealth or personal accomplishments, but in cultivating a heart full of compassion. Compassion doesn't mean ignoring our own needs, of course. It simply means realizing that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. The more we care for others, the more we also heal ourselves. The more we help others, the more we find joy in our own hearts. So, let me ask you this: how can you live as a Bodhisattva today? How can you begin to integrate the spirit of compassion into your life? Can you make small acts of kindness a part of your daily routine? Can you offer your time, your energy, or your love to those around you, even in small ways? Remember, the Bodhisattva vow is not about making grand gestures, it's about the intention behind the action. The practice of compassion can be as simple as listening deeply to someone who is struggling, or offering a smile to a stranger who looks like they need one. And the beauty of this path is that, by helping others, you help yourself. You create ripples of kindness that touch others and come back to you in ways you can't always predict. But that's the magic of the Bodhisattva path. It's not about calculating your actions. It's about opening your heart without expectation and seeing the world transform. So, as we come to the close of this segment, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own spiritual journey. Are you more focused on your personal liberation, like the Arhat, or do you feel drawn to the path of compassion, like the Bodhisattva? Maybe it's a bit of both, and that's perfectly okay. The important thing is to recognize that both paths are valid, both paths are necessary, and most importantly, both paths are paths to freedom. Freedom from suffering, freedom from ego, freedom to love. And if we truly embrace the ideals of the Bodhisattva, whether on the grand scale of global change or in our daily acts of kindness, we open ourselves to a life that is rich with meaning, purpose, and interconnectedness. So thank you for being with me on this journey today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What spoke to you most deeply about the Bodhisattva path? How do you bring compassion into your life? And what role does it play in your spiritual practice? Please share your reflections in the comments below. And if this video has resonated with you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who might benefit from these teachings. Remember, the path of the Bodhisattva is not just for monks or spiritual leaders, it's for all of us. And by embodying compassion in our everyday lives, we begin to transform the world, one small act at a time. Now that we've explored the profound ideals of the Bodhisattva and Arhat paths, let's talk about how we can practically integrate these teachings into our everyday lives. We've talked about compassion, we've examined the essence of the Bodhisattva, But how do we take these lofty ideals and make them tangible? How can we live them, breathe them, and allow them to transform not just our spiritual path but our daily experience? This is where the rubber meets the road. The Bodhisattva path asks us to cultivate compassion, not as a theoretical concept, but as an active, living force in our lives. This is not a path of grand gestures alone. It's about the small, often unseen acts of kindness, patience, and love that ripple out into the world. It's about transforming every moment of our day into an opportunity for service to others, whether that service is to our loved ones, our communities, or even to the strangers we encounter. But what does that look like, practically? First, let's look at compassion in action. It's not always easy. In fact, the Bodhisattva often challenges us in ways we may not expect. It might seem simple to think, I want to help others, but when life gets busy, when we are tired or distracted, or when someone is difficult or unkind, the true test arises. That's when we are called to dig deeper. Take a moment and think about the last time someone upset you. Maybe it was a family member, a friend, or a colleague. Perhaps they said something hurtful or didn't meet your expectations. How did you respond? Did you meet their negativity with more negativity? Or did you pause, breathe, and choose compassion in the moment? This is where the Bodhisattva path challenges us not just to be kind when it's easy, but to offer compassion in the moments when we least want to. This is the transformative power of the path. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present in the face of imperfection, both in others and ourselves. So how do we make compassion more accessible in our daily lives? 1. The practice of listening. One of the simplest, yet most profound ways to practice compassion is through listening. When someone shares their troubles with you, how often do you listen fully, without interrupting or rushing to offer solutions? True listening is not just hearing the words, it's hearing the heart. When we listen deeply, we offer others the space to be seen, to be heard, and to feel understood. In a world that often values speed and efficiency over connection, listening is a revolutionary act of compassion. 2. Offering time and presence. In our fast-paced world, one of the most precious gifts we can give is our time. Time is limited. It's finite. But when we choose to offer it to others, whether it's spending quality time with family, helping a friend in need, or volunteering in our communities, we transform that time into a vessel of compassion. Time spent with others, without distractions or agendas, is a powerful way to show that we care. It's not about doing more. It's about being more. 3. Extending forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the cornerstones of compassion, and it's one of the most challenging aspects of the Bodhisattva. Why? Because it requires us to let go of our anger, resentment, and attachment to being right. It asks us to see beyond the actions of others and to recognize the shared humanity in all beings. But forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful actions. It means freeing ourselves from the grip of suffering that holds us in resentment. When we forgive, we release the chains that bind us to past hurts, and in doing so, we create space for healing, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. 4. Practice patience in the face of difficult. Patience is a virtue that is often tested in the most challenging of circumstances. We live in a world that demands quick fixes, instant gratification, and immediate answers. But true Buddhist wisdom teaches us that patience, especially in difficult situations, is not just about waiting, it's about cultivating an inner calm amidst the storm. The Bodhisattva understands that transformation takes time, both within and without. Whether we are facing an interpersonal challenge or a personal struggle, patience allows us to approach life with grace, humility, and a deep trust that everything unfolds in its own time. 5. Cultivating joy in the success of others. We often think of compassion as helping those in need, But what about when others succeed? When someone you know achieves something great, do you celebrate their success with joy, or do you feel jealousy or envy? The Bodhisattva path teaches us to rejoice in the happiness and accomplishments of others. True compassion means that we see no separation between ourselves and others. Their success is our success. Their joy is our joy. By cultivating genuine joy in the achievements of others, we free ourselves from the grip of comparison and competition. We recognize that when one person flourishes, we all do. So, what happens when we start to embody these practices in our lives? We begin to notice a shift. The more we practice compassion, the more we cultivate the Bodhisattva spirit within ourselves. We begin to live not for personal gain, but for the benefit of others. We start to see our relationships, our work, and our interactions through the lens of interconnectedness. Instead of seeing others as obstacles to our success or happiness, we start to see them as co-travelers on this journey of life. And in doing so, we find that the path of the Bodhisattva is not one of sacrifice, it's one of joy, love, and fulfillment. The more we give, the more we receive. The more we open our hearts to others, the more our own hearts are expanded. But let's not mistake this for perfection. The Bodhisattva does not expect perfection from themselves or others. The path is not about never making mistakes, it's about returning to the path when we stray. It's about showing up again and again, with a heart that is open to learning, to growing, and to giving. In this way, the Bodhisattva vow becomes a living practice, woven into the fabric of our daily existence. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And every step along that journey matters. But here's the most important part. The Bodhisattva path doesn't just change our individual lives, it has the power to transform the world. When we live with the intention to benefit others, we become part of a much larger movement, a movement of compassion, understanding, and collective healing. Every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every choice to extend forgiveness ripples out into the world, creating a wave of positive change that touches countless lives. You are part of that wave. Now, take a deep breath and reflect on this. How can you embody the Bodhisattva spirit today? How can you show compassion in a world that often feels divided? How can you use your life, your actions, your words, to uplift others and bring peace into their hearts? This is the call of the Bodhisattva. It's a call to see beyond ourselves, to awaken to the needs of the world, and to act with love, wisdom, and compassion. And it begins with us right here, right now. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. How are you living the Bodhisattva path? What does compassion look like in your life? Please share your reflections in the comments below. And if this video has inspired you, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing it with someone who might benefit from these teachings. Because together, we are creating a more compassionate world, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.